back to Diaries of Spouse. Camera is so far away and I really hope it's like picking up just how much mess we have going on today. Welcome back to another video. Please come in, please get a cup of coffee. We're gonna be here for a while. Okay, but in all seriousness, we actually might be here for a while because if you can see, have a lot of organizing to do today. Okay, I'm like 50% a book channel, 50% like trying to be an interior designer but like failing. I have this little shelf back here which literally has looked like this for 3 months, and I am just so I got to a point today and I woke up and I'm like, it's the day we tackle this guy. This bookshelf is kind of weird because I have books here that are, some of them I've read and some of them I have not read, so it's gonna be a mixture between read books and unread books, and hopefully by next year it'll just be all read books. I'm really proud of myself. I don't have a lot of TBR books. I think I have under, I would say like under 50, which is really good because in the past I've had like more than 150 unread books. Anyway, so we're gonna organize this today. I'm gonna go through some of the books that I'm gonna be putting on these shelves. I'm going to be also talking about books that I've read recently and books that I hopefully will be reading before the end of this year. We're gonna talk about everything kind of video. But okay, so this week I finished 2 books, and last night I started this one book and I'm so excited. I read Blackout by, oh my god, this is by so many authors. Okay, I'm gonna try and name them all. Danielle Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, Angie Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nicola Yoon. It is a contemporary YA novel and it takes place in New York City when there is a blackout, and we're following different couples throughout the city. So it's kind of a romance book, but instead of just following one couple, we're following a bunch of different couples. Some of the couples in this book recently broke up, some of them just met, new love, old love, and all the stories, like in the end, they all tie into each other because they're all in the same city, so you see how they all are connected as you read the book. This book was fantastic. I think I gave it a 9 or 10 out of 10. I also finished reading The Forest of Stolen Girls by June Her. I think I talked about this book previously when I first bought it. I was not prepared for the depth. Historical mystery novel, and it's set in 1429 Korea. So it's a South Korean historical mystery suspense thriller. It was fantastic, you guys. In this book, we're following 2 sisters who grew up on the island of Jeju in South Korea. When they were younger, they survived a very gruesome murder. This girl in their town was murdered and they were found next to her, like in this forest. The family ends up leaving Jeju after this horrific incident, but the father is a detective and he gets called back to the island. 13 more girls end up going missing. So the father goes to investigate because it all actually started with, you know, his own daughter. But the father ends up going missing, and the daughter has to go back and find the father as well as solve this like murder investigation of the 13 missing girls. My god, this book was like, if you guys want a really good YA historical, even if you're not someone who's into historical fiction, it's written so well. Sometimes historical fictions can be a bit slower paced. This is not at all like a traditional historical. It's very, very fast paced. You will fly through it. I finished it in like 2 nights. This was also a fantastic novel. Finally, I promise we're gonna get to this bookshelf in like 2 seconds. Next book I started last night, Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. Gothic horror fantasy supernatural book. I feel like it just falls into so many genres. It's also like low-key a romance novel. It's literally all the genres. This book, we're following our main character here on the cover. She is a Debterra. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but basically she's hired to go into haunted places and get rid of all the evil that's in that place. Basically, she goes into places, she creates like different amulets and different charms to just get rid of what she calls the evil eye, or just any sort of evil supernatural things that might be in there. But in this world, people are trained to do this and you actually have to be licensed. She left her church or left her group before she was licensed, or I think she was kicked out. There's some sort of mystery behind that as well, but basically she's unlicensed, so it's hard for her to get jobs, and she gets hired by this very mysterious guy. He lives all alone in this giant mansion that's haunted. Either he's cursed or the mansion is cursed, and he's tried hiring I think like 10 or 11 other girls, and they've all either like disappeared or have just like run away screaming because there's just so much like evil in this place. The main character, she's unlicensed, so she really doesn't have any other opportunities, so this is the only job she can get, otherwise she's just gonna be living on the streets. She starts working for this guy. There definitely is like a little bit of romantic tension going on, but also there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the house. I'm only 75 pages, so she's only like just arrived at the house and all this stuff is going on, so I will update you in my next video when I finish reading it. Okay, so that is a wrap up of what I have read. These 3 books here will be going on that shelf. My goal today, I think, is I'm gonna try and make the top shelf all of my read book. Let's take these books off. I'd just like to show you the mess that is the floor. So I got all the books off the shelf. I now have them surrounding me in piles, which you can't see. I'm being surrounded. Just like looking at all of this is just bringing back memories. I have Witches Steeped in Gold here, which I read earlier this year. Wings of Ebony, which I just received an advanced copy of the 2nd book in this series, so I'm very excited to read it. I guess I should just start getting these all separated and organized. These are all read books, so I'm gonna put them to the left of me over here. Oh my god, you guys, last night I was up really late because the movie adaptation of The Hating Game just came out. One of my favorite adult contemporary romance rom-com books. I feel like everyone has read it, but if you haven't, it is an office hate to love romance, and that is all I'm gonna tell you because you have to read the book. Read the book just so that you can watch the movie. I watched it last night. It was the best. One of the best adaptations I have ever seen. It was Lucy Hale and this actor who I've never seen before, but he just killed, like literally killed the role of the main male character. The banter, which is the best part of the book, like that back and forth arguments that they have, they nailed it in the movie. Like whoever wrote the script, I wonder if Sally Thorne, some of the lines or most of the lines were straight out of the book. So if you want a solid adaptation, like watch that one. Granted, I will say it has been a minute since I've read the book. I think it's been like 3 years, so I don't remember everything, but I do remember like how I felt. I definitely was feeling the same things I felt when I watched. In my last video, I was talking about Skin of the Sea, which is a mermaid fantasy book, and a lot of you guys are recommending Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. This book I actually have read. If you don't know Mira Grant, she's this is the pen name for Shannon McGuire. This is another mermaid book. This is way different from this one, but if you guys are still on that mermaid vibe, you are still wanting like something within the mermaid world, I highly recommend Into the Drowning Deep. In this book, there was a film crew that went to the Mariana Trench to film a mockumentary, so like a fake documentary about mermaids, but that whole crew of people that went to film this fake documentary ended up disappearing, and the world thought it was like just some sort of hoax, like they're just, you know, trying to make money off of this fake documentary, but they actually disappeared. 7 years later, we have a new crew that is going to try and figure out what happened. It definitely is a thick one, but you will come away from this book really just like, oh my god, look at all of these, wow. Okay, I'm gonna start putting those on the shelf in like 2 seconds. I'm almost done separating these. I don't know if I showed you guys this, but I got a copy of Gods and Monsters, which is the 3rd book in the Serpent and Dove series, which is a fantasy book about witches. I have been avoiding spoilers for this book. I was gonna start this last week, but I kind of feel like I need to reread Blood and Honey, which was the 2nd book. Remember what happened in that book, but also I read it a year ago, this time last year, so it's been a whole year and I feel like I need a refresher. I'm also really sad because this is the last book in that series. Did I tell you guys that I read Dune during my like 3-month hiatus? I'm so bad at YouTubing, I'm so sorry, but yeah, you guys, I read Dune when did I read it? Like 2 months ago. I feel like the whole world reread Dune or read it for the first time because of the movie. Oh my god. Also, can I say, I saw the movie twice. The book was mind-blowing, the movie was mind-blowing. I feel like I don't have much to add to the conversation around Dune besides the fact that I'm just like a diehard fan with everyone else. So I highly annotated this while I was reading it. It was amazing. Not even gonna talk about the fact that I haven't read Black Sun yet. We're also not gonna talk about the fact that I still have Strange the Dreamer on my TBR list. I think I'm gonna read this book next after I finished Within These Wicked Walls. My TBR pile here, I also have For All Time by Shannon Miles. Now this book, we're following a couple that throughout history they have I guess reincarnated and come back in different time periods and different eras, and they've always found found each other and fell in love, and then something happens to one of them and then they end up dying and then coming back again and finding each other again. One love story after another. The only concern is they never get to see how their story ends until now, when they finally discover what it will take to break the cycle. Will they be able to make this sacrifice? Keep living their love story over and over again, but they never get to see how their love story ends. Fall in love for one last time. Oh my god, I'm in such like a lovey-dovey, I think it's The Hating Game. Ever since I watched that movie, I've just been in such a Hallmark mood. Speaking of favorite authors, I have had The Nightingale on my shelf forever. This summer, I read Kristen Hanna's other book that recently came out, The Four Winds, which oh my god, I think I made like a rant review. I really didn't like The Four Winds, but I loved, of course, like The Great Alone. Nightingale, though, is the one that most people know her by. I really look forward to reading Gilded Ones. I'm ashamed I haven't even finished it. I decided today that this is gonna be the first year that I don't do a favorites video. At the end of every year, I always do a favorites video, so all my favorite books that I read during the year. Usually it's anywhere from like 10 to 20 books. This year was so rough. Like so much. I feel like it was rough for everyone, but I just really like hardly read anything. But I feel like because I haven't read all the books that I wanted to read this year, or you know, gotten to a lot of the ones that came out this year, it would feel fair to make a list of like my top 20 books when I've only read like 30 books this year, you know? I'm really curious to know how the year was for you guys as far as you know, reading goes, because it was so bad for me. But I'm very excited for 2022. I think we're all kind of hesitant to make goals, but my main goal for 2022 is to read more adult fiction. Like that's my one goal. As you guys could probably tell from like just books that I recently read these past few months, I primarily gravitate towards young adult fiction, and I feel like I'm really missing out because you know, as a book reviewer, like whenever someone asks me for any sort of recommendations, I always give them like a young adult recommendation. When it comes to adult books though, I'm just so out of the loop with that genre, with that age group. I just feel like I'm in such a bubble. You know, YA can really just get you sucked in and then all you read is YA. Don't get me wrong, YA books are wonderful. Young adult will always be my absolute favorite, but I just feel like I'm in a bit of a bubble by only reading YA and I'm missing out on a lot of really wonderful books. Dune, for example. Actually, is this considered young adult? I want to say this is adult, but it would be so bad for me to reference this book and then turns out it's actually YA. All of Kristen Hanna's books were adult books and I enjoyed them so much, and I just need to really get out of my comfort zone. I feel like I'm missing out on so many good stories by just sticking to my one little corner of literature. If you have any good recommendations for adult literature, like let me know. I am, of course, like to read everything fantasy, sci-fi, but I'm just trying to really get out of my bubble, you know? So I finished organizing all of my little piles here, so I'm gonna start putting them on the shelf and then we will see how it looks and make some adjustments as needed. Real quick, I wanted to show you guys this. So when I was in college, my freshman year, I ended up submitting a story for a creative writing thing, and the story actually got published. I don't know if I ever showed you guys. So it's just like a school publication, so it's not, you know, worldwide for everyone to see. Look! Oh my god, this was my author bio page, but I have my little bio page here, and then if I flip this way, the story was called A Gift of Magic, and yeah, I ended up getting it published, which is so crazy. I have a bunch of copies. I don't need this many copies, but my writing teacher was nice enough to just give me like all the copies.
Feeling in my bones, I can feel it in my veins. Hands in the sky, I can feel the winds of change. You live and you learn, and I hope I've seen enough to make something right and make up for what I've lost. I was down, but things are looking up. I wanna get high on you, caught by surprise by you.
I have finished organizing. It looks so good. I am so happy with it. It turned out so beautiful, and I just feel like this whole room is so much cleaner and more organized now, and I'm so excited as well. I still have some room on the very top to put some decor, but I kind of like the minimal look of it right now. And then I have the book I'm reading right here on my bed because I haven't finished it yet, but eventually it will go on this shelf once I do finish it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, keep reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!